So it's time for the after action report I said I was going to do on my debate with TheQuartering. Now, a little backstory is that this was, the challenge was thrown down not Thursday of last week, but the week before. Maybe it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday evening. And Jeremy said, I want to debate you because I don't like your criticism, essentially. And I want to do it on Thursday. Thursday morning, I said, okay, give me a time. He didn't respond at all. Friday, I say 18 hours, 36 hours, no response. I guess that debate really didn't matter. And finally that weekend, Jeremy said, okay, let's get this over with. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central. I said, okay. So I had a lot of vitriol thrown at me prior to this, especially from two of the people whose faces are so deep in Quartering's lap that they can't deep throat any further, Trash Fire and Cinder Shadow, which isn't unexpected because those two have hitched themselves to Jeremy's success. I took it seriously. Did a little bit of looking around, did a little bit of research, and I was talking to a few people about it. Jeremy was sent screenshots, and I'm going to get into that in a bit. However, I took it seriously. Jeremy came into it just laughing his ass off. He did not take it seriously, which I think is far more telling when you're talking about Jeremy, the one who challenged me, as opposed to me. I came in fully expecting to actually have a talk about this or a debate, and Jeremy, he ignored it. The first clip we're going to be talking about or looking at is the subconjunctival hemorrhage he claims he got in the attack. Really quick, I'm going to pull this up and let's watch.
I saw you really opping out on that. My question is, are you a doctor?
No, I'm not.
So I'm not sure how you would know. By the way, I never publicly claimed it was from the attack. It's just the most likely scenario for me. Yes, they can happen from a sneeze or a cough or even probably a rough fart. But I noticed that you went through great lengths to measure the size of that and date it out, basically implicating, in my opinion, that it was some sort of fraudulent action by me. Is that your position?
Yes, that is my position, Jeremy. It is my position because even if we go over to WebMD, which I'm loath to use, here's what it says. The hemorrhage, meaning subconjunctival hemorrhage, will appear larger within the first 24 hours after its onset, meaning when it starts, and then will slowly decrease in size and may look yellowish as the blood is absorbed. That usually takes about 7 to 10 days. Second, let's go over to here really quick. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. This is a lapsed picture, essentially, showing the stages of the hemorrhage. Now remember, the attack happened August 1st. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see this a little better. This is August 6th. You can see I've put at the bottom that, well, let me, there we go. You can see August 6th, August 7th, August 8th, and that's pretty much what I did for this. What I did was I took screenshots. You can see on the 6th, a very good shot of where the subconjunctival hemorrhage is. There's nothing there, not even a pinprick. We come over to the 7th. You can just barely start to see it in this side. Admittedly, not a great picture, but it is there. You can start to see it. And on the 8th, we have the hemorrhage itself. So going by what WebMD says, yes, this hemorrhage would have had to start within that 24-hour span between the 7th and the 8th. Now, how do I know how it would come apart or come up? I've gotten them. I've gotten into my fair share of fights where I've gotten them. I've rubbed my eyes too much because of the contacts or something. I've even had a pretty hard shit and I got them. But they appear very quickly within hours of the trauma actually causing it. The two doctors I spoke to, one of whom was an optometrist, said that it's a very rare possibility that it was a delayed onset, but it's not betting odds. And Jeremy hooked onto that. He hooked onto that it was a possibility. He ignored the fact that it came from one of two doctors and that it was not betting odds. Because it was a possibility, he stayed with it. So what does that tell us? It tells us Jeremy is really hoping that the actual case will not revolve around that. But here's the other issue. He says he never attributed the attack to the cause for the subconjunctival hemorrhage, except he did. On August 9th, he put out a video called National News Now Covering Our Cause, Let's Set a Precedent. And during it, he said this.
Again, I think started on campus reform. I don't have a black eye. I have a hero eye, a woke eye. One of my eyes got woke. All right. That's okay.
A woke eye. In context, he is blaming the attack for giving him the subconjunctival hemorrhage. Now, is he going to claim that that's not what he meant? Well, in context, that's exactly what he means when he says he got a woke eye. So now if he's going to say the context, ignore it, then his criticism towards the sheriff in Airedale who ignored the context of Count Dankula's video and found him guilty of whatever, we'd have to ignore his criticism there, wouldn't we? We're ignoring context now, Jeremy. Isn't that what you wanted? Apparently that is. Next up, we're going to look at the next claim he makes. And he says, my big critique with him is that he's dishonest. Let's listen really quick. I am saying, however, is that you have a habit of saying X and then doing something else.
So your big critique of me is that I'm prone to changing my mind.
I would say playing up something
Thank you, Rebecca.
Far beyond what you actually intend to do.
So you're saying I'm being dishonest, right? Just come out and say it. Like, this is your platform.
There's a little bit of dishonesty, and I would say that there's a little bit of you just don't know what you want to do. So he tries to say, your biggest critique of me is that I changed my mind. No, I don't think you know what you're doing. You can't change your mind if you don't have an actual intention. You don't have an actual game plan. My biggest issue is that, yes, you're dishonest. You exaggerate. You play up issues and you hide behind, I'm an entertainer. So is Alex Jones. Doesn't mean he's less of a shitbag for saying the kids at Sandy Hook were crisis actors, that the shooting at Sandy Hook didn't happen, stuff like that. He is renowned for being dishonest, for exaggerating things. And you do the exact same thing, Jeremy. You do it constantly. Your entire channel is dedicated to playing up issues or playing up how you are somehow a victim, despite the fact that really you're not. You're not a victim. In this case, yes, you are the victim of battery. However, you've played up just how significant it was. It's not like you had a crowbar taken across your skull. You never really even show us the wounds that you suffered from it. You claim a knot on the back of your head, never show it. You show us a bruise on the underside of the bicep, and since you're a bigger guy, that's not exactly muscle. That's not muscle for Jeremy, which means that that's going to be prone to bruising even over the most simple shit. The simplest issue, the simplest hit can cause a bruise, especially the kind that he claims he received. Now, continuing on from that area, what we're going to do is we're going to look at something that he did, which is use some screenshots he never validated to try to validate that I was taking all this time to put together all this information. And, well, let's listen to this really quick.
So, just know that I've seen everything that you type in your Discord and all that. So it's just, let's come correct. You came on here.
I have a Discord?
Don't try to be, what do you mean?
Hold on. I have a Discord. Hold on. This is news to me. When did I get a,
no, you're in a Discord conversation.
Okay. So he starts off with your Discord. I don't have a Discord. Never had a Discord. I'm in Discords. And then when I say this is news to me, well, you're in a Discord. Jeremy uses screenshots from specifically Anu Vlad's Discord to try to say that I have eyes everywhere. We know who sent it to you. We're not stupid, Jeremy. We know who the frickin' people you send to other Discords to keep track of people who criticize you are. We know who they are. They are not intelligent, just like you are not intelligent. Posting that picture that I showed earlier, showing the stages, I guess you could say, of the subconjunctival hemorrhage, that took all of 5 minutes to put together. 5 minutes. That's not in-depth going over. But more to the point, didn't you recently accuse me of using screenshots that you claim nobody vetted? You did. You actually took me to task for it. And here you are doing the exact same thing. If I had come out and said, those screenshots are fake, I didn't even see what the screenshots are, but I'm, once again, going by context, we know exactly where they came from. We know what screenshots you were sent. If I had said, those aren't real screenshots, what would you have done? What would you have done, Jeremy? Waste on your own petard. But I came honest because that's what I do, Jeremy. I'm honest. I am down to earth, and I will tell it straight. So the screenshots, you didn't even know where they came from. How much actual digging did you do? How much validation of the screenshots did you do? None, apparently, because you didn't even know where they came from to begin with. That's a huge no-no, wouldn't you say? But this isn't the first time you've used, quote, evidence, unquote, that you haven't validated and tried to pass off as fact. When you retweeted and you put into a video Angie's tweet mentioning me and the local game store that recently fired a trans employee because she decided to kick out some minors as well as ban me for disagreeing with her position on your ban. You didn't come to me to find out the story. You didn't even send anybody to me to ask about anything. You just put it up there and said, yeah, this is fact. What if I'd been lying about it? I actually did a video afterwards where I showed the email itself from the store owner firing the employee. Why? Because when I make a claim like that, I like to bring some evidence. I like to do a little fact checking. You don't even do that. Your entire channel is based on passing stuff off as fact and never actually fact checking. Once again, claiming you're an entertainer. It doesn't work like that. So now we start to get into the meat, I guess you could say, of the entire debate. Here's where Jeremy decides, you know what? I'm just, you can't dismiss your criticism outright. Let's watch. What did you show us?
Your big critique, though, is that you're basically saying Jeremy's blowing it up for views and drama, but in order for you to actually know that, you'd have to know how I felt about the situation, right?
Fair.
So in this case, then your critique doesn't hold a ton of value in that you don't really know what was going through my mind at the time, and you don't really know what my opinions were at the time, and you also agree that people are free to change their mind, right?
People are free to change their mind, absolutely. Here's the problem for you, though. You don't have a solid game plan. You never had one. Not once. Not once did you have a game plan for this. Contextually, yes, I can say you're playing it up because of how you've talked about this and how you've completely acted the SJW tactics of getting the guy fired from his job, completely based off your claim that he attacked you. Once again, it's alleged. It's not a proven fact. Sorry, not sorry. It's an SJW tactic. One that you even admitted it was shitty of you to do. But you do this constantly because you come from a place of emotion. And it's a constant thing. You come from a place of emotion. You never come from a place of fact. You never allow reason to really discern, to go through. And that's okay. All of us are subjected to emotion at one point or another. Now, saying that I'm not in your head, once again, I don't have to be in your head to be able to look at your tweets of that day to see I'm going home, followed by I'm not going home because I spent $4,000. I'm not going to go to the doctor because it's $2,000. I don't have to be in your head to look at it and say, this guy has absolutely no idea what he's doing. He's just saying whatever sounds good in order to bring in the victimhood status to be able to get more pity. And it's a shitty thing to frickin' do. Now here's where we have a little bit of fun. And I say a little bit of fun because we get into his way of trying to dismiss my criticisms. Let's watch.
So essentially what I'm gathering is maybe you don't like me that much, and that's okay. Is that fair?
If I hold on, no. Now I'm going to take that right there. This is another tactic you use. Somebody has criticism of me. They must not like me. Jeremy, I have supported you throughout the DCI bullshit. I have signal boosted in my own small way the whole pedophilia in the Magic Judges bullshit. I signal boosted in my own small way the attack on you. And I said it was reprehensible and there was no fucking point.
But
just
you also
because
believe
I support you in this does not mean that you cannot be criticized. And I think your tactics throughout this entire thing have been as reprehensible. Once again, the whole SJW tactics of going after the guy's fucking job. You went after the guy's job. You didn't have definitive proof. Okay, let's.
Oh, I did have definitive proof.
You didn't have.
I'm an eyewitness to my own crime.
You couldn't even say who it. All right, so let's dissect that a little bit. He thinks that I don't like him. Once again, my channel, I got a lot of headway when I was signal boosting his entire DCI ban, and I signal boosted in my own small way the pedophilia issue. And you saw how he smiled when I said that, in my own small way. I'm not a huge YouTuber like Jeremy. I've freely admitted that. I'm still building. I've been at this for roughly 9 months now. 9 months where I've taken this seriously. I'll even go out and say a year where I've taken this seriously. And he smiles at it because he knows he's a significant YouTuber and I'm not. And that's actually one of his reasons for trying to ignore my criticism. You don't have a presence on YouTube. He does this with other YouTubers, but he's very happy to retweet us or to send people to our videos to mass downvote and ratio the video. Why is that? Why would Jeremy want to do that? Is it because this thick boy is thin-skinned? Absolutely. Jeremy is incapable of taking criticism. Let me say that again for the hearing impaired and mentally retarded that are going to come here when somebody retweets this. It might be Jeremy, it might not. Who knows? He's not on Twitter anymore. He's suddenly back on Twitter, not on Twitter, suddenly back on Twitter. Once again, another way that we can tell he has no idea what he's doing. I'm not going to be on Twitter anymore. 6 hours later, I'm back on Twitter. Jeremy, make up your fucking mind at some point. I mean, it's not that hard. Just go, I'm gonna do this and stick with it for once in your fucking life, but you're not going to. Jeremy is incapable of accepting criticism. Any criticism leveled against him, he says, is completely unjustified. Completely unjustified. And he'll come up with any amount of frickin' excuses to why that is. You don't like him, despite the fact that I signal boosted everything and I said it was absolute bullshit what was going on. You don't think it happened. No, I think it happened. I just don't think it happened the way you're saying it. Your own witness statements, one of them says that he had his arm around you, your neck. So how could you turn around to see who it was? You couldn't. Another one says he grabbed you by the back of the shirt. No mention of the arm being around your neck. These are the discrepancies that when you go into court absolutely will bite you in the ass. But I don't like him, so you can dismiss that criticism. Well, Jeremy, if that's the case, then you need to delete all your videos going after Anita Sarkeesian. You need to delete all your videos going after Zoe Quinn, any SJW, because you don't like them. And your criticism can be dismissed for the exact same reasons that you say you can dismiss my criticism if that's the case. And the third thing he actually tried to say was that the Ethan Van Scriver GoFundMe, I hadn't put money into it. Why do I care? Here's why I care. Because you're abusing the legal system as far as I am concerned for nothing. You want to set a precedent, you say. Well, guess what? There are plenty of precedents within the criminal justice system that say using unprovoked violence is wrong. We literally have laws called assault and battery. Jeremy, there are precedents all over the place. You just want to try and be a precedent setter, and you're too late to that damn party. You're too stupid, though. You're too addled to understand that you are incapable of setting this precedent. You are the wrong person to do this because you weren't attacked by Antifa. You were attacked by someone else who barely did any damage to you. Now, this clip is a little bit nitpicky, and I'll admit this, but let's watch it anyways.
The way I would fully endorse. I don't think I've ever called for violence. You're vaguely referencing a video. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you can't.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, but
there's a difference between calling for violence, which Jeremy has never done as far as I know, and I accept this. He's never called for unprovoked violence against anyone. Neither have I. Neither is anybody who's in their right mind. However, there is a marked difference between unprovoked violence, like what Antifa does or what this guy did to Jeremy, and defending yourself. And that's the big thing. It's not that hard if you're in a headlock to grab the arm, drop your chin, use your weight because Jeremy's a big guy, to throw him off balance, break the hold, turn around, and punch the guy. It's not that hard. That's basic martial arts, really. You don't need a lot of training. You don't need training for this, but I also accept that Jeremy's not a guy accustomed to violence. That's fine. How I would react is not going to be how Jeremy reacts. In me, the fight or flight leans more towards fight. For him, it is more towards flight, and that's fine. But when you're actually putting yourself out there as a macho alpha male, when you fly and you're claiming that you ran heroically, you ran out of there heroically, by the way, yeah, you're going to get some shit for that. And I criticized him for it. But apparently we can ignore that because Joe Rogan says this was the right thing to do or some crap like that. How do you know the guy wasn't going to follow you and start beating the crap out of you? Jeremy does not look like a fast person. He does not. He definitely looks like he's slower than Matt. Fantastic. So how is Jeremy going to get away from the violence? He's lucky Matt didn't chase him. All right, so we got two more clips. This one is actually a pretty fun one. It's a 2-minute clip. Let's watch it.
This type of thing before. The criticism that I didn't go to a doctor in Indianapolis is simply because I didn't feel safe going to a doctor there.
How do you not feel safe going to a doctor there?
Didn't know the neighborhood.
What are they going to do? Like freaking send you off to a FEMA camp and perform some medical experiments on you?
Well, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. Look, and you know what? You have to prove that I didn't. You have to prove that I did feel safe and that I lied, which you cannot do.
If you don't feel safe, I'm going to stop right there really quick. I don't have to prove that you didn't feel safe. Once again, you're playing yourself off as some kind of alpha male. You've consistently done that. And more to the point, once again, why are you not willing to go to a doctor at that time? I'm going to keep it going though. Safe going to a doctor, an ER.
I didn't.
That speaks huge issues with your mindset.
Okay. What is it about my mindset then?
You don't feel safe going to an ER or a doctor.
No, I was in a strange city. I was in a strange city. I didn't know what my insurance would cover. I didn't know where to go. I felt safest going back to my hotel room.
Why does the insurance enter into it?
Well, because you don't know if you go to a doctor, you go to an ER that's outside. You actually have to pay for that. I don't live in a nation with socialized health care. So you go to an ER.
Well, neither do I. What's your point?
If you go to an ER and you don't have insurance, it could cost many thousands of dollars. This is just one of the many things running through my head at that time. You, unfortunately, cannot disprove that. So I can't disprove that. It would cost thousands of dollars. Aren't you the one who said you had... I can't disprove that. I don't have to disprove that. You're the one who said you didn't feel safe going to a doctor, and yet you would gladly insult a feminist, a third-wave feminist who says she was raped and she didn't feel safe going to the doctor. You've done that before in several videos, actually. And more to the point, you're the one who says that you have 7 figures in your savings account. What's $2,000 for that? Many cities actually have a fund that the police can draw from or a doctor can draw from if you're the victim of a crime like you say you were. This is kind of common knowledge. A lot of people know about this, but Jeremy didn't want to. And in fact, he says he didn't feel safe going to the doctor even after he had 2 friends from Wisconsin come down. But he could stay at Gen Con. He could stay in a city he doesn't know with thousands of people around him in an enclosed space. Doesn't that seem a little counterproductive, counterintuitive?
if you're not safe, if you don't feel safe going to a doctor in a city, it's not like you're going to lose a kidney or something. You're going to a hospital. A hospital. But he's going to say he didn't feel safe and that he would have to spend $2,000 roughly. $500 for the ambulance ride, $2,000 to go there. Well, guess what? You claim you got hit in the back of the skull, right where the brainstem is. There's not a lot of padding there. It's actually pretty easy to get fucked up from that. So my thinking there would be, okay, we need to think about that just a little bit. There might be a concussion. There might be something even worse. Even though you don't feel it at the time, you can still have it coming on. Jeremy didn't want to be seen by a doctor. Why? Because he didn't think that he needed to. He didn't feel any issues. He didn't feel any problems showing up. That, once again, will kick him in the balls if it goes to trial, because a jury's going to look at that and go, what the hell? Why are you suing this guy if there's no actual damage? Oh, because emotional distress, according to Jeremy. That's right. He's suing this guy because he's afraid now. He doesn't know if somebody who says his name is going to come out of nowhere and punch him. It's like a third wave feminist with the all men are rapists, because I was raped once, or I know somebody who was raped once, and now I'm afraid. Jeremy, you are literally what you claim to hate at this point. Last clip. Jeremy, are the police medical professionals? So you didn't feel safe going to a hospital.
No, I
Probably
didn't.
Probably one of the safest places you could go to. You could have called an ambulance and taken an ambulance to a hospital and gotten checked out, because
I didn't feel safe.
But you felt safe walking around with a possible concussion?
I felt safe once I had two people to protect me, yes, who drove down from Wisconsin.
So you didn't feel safe going to a doctor, which, you know, any common sense kicks in and says, I should probably go to a doctor because I was just battered. I was put into, according to you, you were put into a headlock, which that can have some real ramifications.
But I didn't go
6 or 7 times in the back of the head. That can have some serious ramifications. I mean, I'm trying to wrap my brain around the fact that you're saying I didn't feel safe going to a hospital in a major city.
I didn't feel safe.
It's not like this is freaking, you know, it's not like you're going into a back alley to be checked out or something like that.
Yeah, but I didn't. But you got to understand, I didn't feel safe. You have to prove that I did.
Then why'd you stay?
Because I had protection drive down from Wisconsin to make me feel safe. So you only felt safe after somebody came down to hold your hand? Yeah, 2 people.
I mean, this is what I don't get. Your entire argument is that you didn't feel safe, but you felt safe after people showed up.
I felt safe after I had 2 people who I felt would protect me drive down from Wisconsin to do just that. Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Okay, so then why didn't you go to the hospital after that? Why didn't you go to the hospital then and there?
I didn't need to. I had already been checked out by the police.
He'd been checked out by the police. Are the police medical professionals? Jeremy asked me if I was a medical professional. I can say with some certainty that I probably have the same medical training as the police. Apply tourniquets, be able to take care of a open wound, a laceration. I probably have a little more in being able to take care of a sucking chest wound and whatnot like that. But you heard him here. 2 people came down from Wisconsin to look over him. And Jeremy still didn't go to the hospital. Why? Because he didn't think he had to. What medical professional said that is the question. What medical professional, Jeremy, said that? The police? No. According to you, the police are now medical professionals, except they're not. They probably don't even have any kind of real triage training. I don't. But apparently, because I'm not a medical professional, my criticisms of how the subconjunctival hemorrhage and the alleged knot on the back of your head, those can be ignored. And the criticism about you not seeing a medical professional, a doctor, the day of the assault. Well, the police are now medical professionals, even though, once again, they're not. They don't have a lot of medical training. And this is the criticism I have with Jeremy. At the end of the day, I'm going to take a stab in the dark here, going by his actions, going by what he said and what he's done. His decisions to not see a doctor, even though he really should have the day of. He said he had lawyers contacting him the day he was attacked. And yet none of them told him to go see a doctor? None of them? He played to the masses throughout this entire thing. And you see this with the forced mundane Matt laughter. See how he's, right now, even see how he's leaning back like this. He's leaning back in his chair. He's not taking it seriously. And you can kind of see how he's looking towards the exit of the room. You see how he's facing it. My exit is back there. All right. I can't do this. And I intentionally did it because micro expressions, micro emotions, and how you subconsciously respond when you're being called out can have a huge impact on your statements, and it can have a huge impact on how you are treated. Jeremy's entire demeanor throughout this entire thing was of somebody who was being caught and didn't like it. He didn't like being criticized and called out. And that is a huge thing for Jeremy. That's why Jeremy, he wants to be on, he doesn't expect you to actually understand small things like this. And that's fine. Not a lot of people understand this. I'm not going into the eyes. The NLB, it's not exactly exact science psychology, and the NLP doesn't really help out in that regard either. It's pretty much debunked, but you can still see how he's treating the entire thing. You know, this is so funny. Why am I being called out? Why am I being criticized? I can dismiss your criticism because you don't like me, or I can dismiss your criticism because you're not a huge YouTuber, even though you've been at this for a year. Of course not, Jeremy. Of freaking course not. I'm not a huge YouTuber. I haven't been at this for 5-6 years. I'm also not going out there and saying stuff like, I've got my own house. I've got 7 figures in my bank account, and I'm afraid to spend $2,000 on going to the ER. Jeremy, nobody looking at this objectively is looking at this and saying nobody's looking at this objectively and saying Jeremy looks like a real victim. He's not. You're playing this up for views. Fine, whatever. But don't be surprised when you go into the courtroom and all of this is played back. All of this is played back for you. Your actions, your decisions throughout this entire thing are going to have far-reaching consequences for this. I don't see you winning anything substantial, if anything at all at this point, even with a high-profile lawyer like Bill Richmond representing you. There's no damage to you. There's no damage to your business. Your actions in the past are going to be used against you, and especially considering this, where you went after the guy's job, and they're going to look at many of your videos in the past where they went after Ethan Van Scriver or something like that and said going after somebody's job for an allegation or not letting the law handle it is wrong. They're going to look at you and say this is a double standard. And judges and juries, they tend not to like double standards. In closing, Jeremy comes off throughout this entire thing as dishonest. And I'm not saying that because I was criticizing him. I'm saying that from having watched this a couple of times over several days. Once again, his body language and his demeanor speak volumes. They speak far louder than anything he or I say. At the end of the day, what Jeremy did will have huge implications for anybody else who might be a victim of similar battery. This isn't going to set a precedent that he wants, I don't think. If it goes to trial, if it goes before a bench trial or a jury, I don't see Jeremy winning very much. And that's if he wins at all. I think actually Matt Fantastic may have a case in the countersuit because Jeremy did go after his job and he did send his people. He did send a small portion, yes, but the subgroup he plays towards, like Trash Fire and Cinder Shadow, He sent them after Matt Fantastic, Quinnipiac University, even me. Because that's what Jeremy does. When there's criticism, he's going to have a very rabid fan base of beta male individuals go and downvote a video critical of him or harass an individual. He can claim, I didn't send them, but he knows exactly what he's doing when that happens. And even though I've defended him in the past and said you can't take responsibility for what people do, when it's a habitual thing, you can absolutely hold the personality accountable for that. And Jeremy can be held accountable for the bullshit he does.